This guy, a friend of mine, was complaining that his carbon monoxide detector keeps going off all the time. I said, really? He said, yeah, it's giving me headaches, making me nauseous, and So, a woman wakes up in the middle of the night to find her husband is not in bed. So she puts on her robe, goes downstairs to look for him. She finds him sitting in a kitchen table with a cup of hot cocoa in front of him. And he appears to be in deep thought, just staring off into space, right? She watches him as he wipes a tear away from his eye. She goes, what's the matter, dear? Right? He said, why are you down here this time of night? And the husband looks up from his drink and he says, it's the 20th anniversary of the day we met. And the wife couldn't believe that he remembered this. And she's like, oh, she gets all emotional too. And the husband says, do you remember 20 years ago when we started dating? I was 18. You were only 15, right? Once again, the wife is moved to tears. She says, yes, I remember this. The husband said, do you remember that when your father caught us in the back seat of my car? Oh, yeah, I remember that. She said, that's a hard thing to forget. Well, do you remember that he shoved a shotgun in my face and said, either you marry my daughter or I make sure that you spend the next 20 years in prison? She said, yeah, I remember that. Well, I would have gotten out today. Okay, here's one. This is not really about Trump. This is like an old joke about the American president. It's sort of a general one. So if you think it's going in that direction, it's not. It is. American president is sitting in his office and his telephone rings. He goes, hello, Mr. President, a heavily accented voice said. Remember when I was talking about Irish and Jamaican? If I sound Jamaican, please forgive me. I'm doing my best. This Irishman says, this is Paddy down at the Heart Pub down in Clondyclare in Ireland, and I'm ringing you to inform we're officially declaring war upon you. The president goes, really, Paddy? And how big is your army? Oh, right now, says Paddy. After a moment's of calculation, he goes, oh, there's myself, me cousin Sean, my next door neighbor Seamus, and me entire darts team from the pub. That make 11. President's going, God, how did you get this number? All right, I must tell you, Paddy, that I have 100,000 men in my army waiting to move on my command. Paddy goes, oh, shit, let me call you back, right? 30 minutes later, he actually calls back, right? The president, okay, Mr. President, the war's still on. We managed to get us 10 tractors and 15 jeeps, and we rounded up 50 people. The president's going, good God, how does this guy getting through? All right, let me tell you something, Patty, all right? We have 6,000 tanks, 5,000 armored personnel carriers, and also increased my army to 150,000 since the last time you and I spoke. Oh, Jesus, says Patty. I'll call you back. Well, sure enough, a few minutes later, the president's going, is this really happening? Then he calls back and says, all right, Mr. President, the war's still on. We managed to get ourselves airborne. We have a modified Jackie McLaughlin ultra-light wing with a couple of shotguns in the cockpit. And another 20 lads from the Shamish Bar have joined us as well. The president just can't help but laugh at this, and he says, all right, I must tell you, Patty, that I have 100 bombers, 200 fighter planes. My military bases are surrounded by laser-guided surface-to-air missile sites. And the last time we spoke, my army's actually increased to 200,000. Oh, fuck! I'll have to call you back. Well, wouldn't you know it? 30 minutes later, all right, Mr. President, I'm sorry to inform you, but we're going to have to call off the war. Oh, really, Patty? I'm sorry to hear that. Why the sudden change of heart? Oh, well, says Patty, after a long chat and a few pints of beer, we decided there's no fucking way we could feed 200,000 prisoners. Somebody has a pretty high opinion of themselves when they're drunk.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Okay, what does a programmer wear? Anyone? Do programming, coding? What does a programmer wear? You should know this. It's what's ever in the dress code.
Oh! I'm not a programmer. I don't know what that means.
Okay, sorry. All right. Dress code. A Jewish man was leaving a convenience store with his espresso when he noticed a most unusual Italian funeral procession approaching the nearby cemetery. A black hearse was followed by a second black hearse about 50 feet behind the first one, right? And behind the second hearse was a solitary Italian man walking a dog on a leash. And behind him, a short distance back, there were about 200 men walking single file. damnedest thing I've ever seen. So the Jewish man, out of curiosity, respectfully approached the Italian man walking the dog, and he said, I'm sorry for your loss, but this may be a bad time to disturb, but I've never seen an Italian funeral like this. Whose funeral is it? The Italian man said, oh, it's my wife's. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened to her? Well, she yelled at me, and my dog attacked and killed her. Good Lord. Who's in the second hearse? And the guy says, that's my mother-in-law. She came to help my wife. The dog turned on her and killed her, too. Wow. Well, two very poignant, touching moments. Jewish and Italian man. And silence passed between them. And then the Jewish man said, can I borrow the dog? And the Italian man pointed at the 200 people, single file, and said, get in line.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Get in line. Yeah.
That's a good
Get in line. Okay, what do I got left? All right, now this is a funny thing that I heard. This is a suggestion that someone gave on the internet. If you have the balls to try it, please do, and then tell me what happens afterwards, all right? Let's say you have a significant other, right? And if they ever come up to you and say, I'm angry, this is what you do. Go to the bathroom, grab a towel, and then drape that towel around their shoulders like a cape. And then you say to them, now you're super angry. And if you're still alive after that, let me know. See, now you're super angry. Hey, da 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 da. All right, here's a Catholic joke. During Sunday Mass, the priest asked the crowd, how many of you forgave your enemies? Because that's a big deal in Catholicism. You got to turn the other cheek.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
deal. They ought to do that. So get a load of this, only 80% of them raised their hands. And the priest asked, and how many of you intend to forgive your enemies? And almost everyone's hand was now in the air, except the feeble old lady in the front row. Huh, Miss Rogers, don't you intend on forgiving your enemies? And she said, I don't have any. She just gave a bit of a chuckle. Oh, Miss Rogers, that's very unusual. How old are you? 98? Oh, well, Miss Rogers, why don't you come up here and share the secret with everyone? How does someone live to be 98 and have no enemies? And she walked up, gave a polite smile before the entire congregation and said, I outlive the motherfuckers. Booyah. Here's another religious joke. This is a new one. I never heard this one before. What did God say right after creating the first digestive system? Shit just got real, yo.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. I think that's a line from Bad Boys, though I never actually watched that movie. Here's one. Now, this is one, I've heard this joke before of a Texan getting drunk in an Irish bar. You know where that's leading, right? But this is different. This is a Texan getting drunk in Alaska. So this one's kind of new to me. So he's in a drunk, and of course he starts bragging about how great Texas is. An Alaskan hunter comes up to him and he says, listen, buddy, here in Alaska, you ain't shit until you've done three things. You got to drink a fifth of Alaskan whiskey, shoot a polar bear, and then make love to an Eskimo woman. Well, the Texan accepts the challenge. Starts by grabbing a bottle of whiskey from the counter, and he chugs it all down, the whole fifth. It was a bit painful, but he got the job done. Then he says he'll be right back, and he just ambles out the door. A few hours later, he stumbles back into the bar, all mangled and bloody. He says, I did it. Now where's that Eskimo woman I'm supposed to shoot? Got that mixed up. See? All right. You know, I was seeing this hot chick for about twice a week, and then she closed her blinds.